Part 29. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 281. Zhang Zizai was shocked when he found out that it was Sikong Jin's parents who were hosting a banquet for Feng Xiaoyao, and that they wanted to take him with them. It's really strange. What is Sikong Jin doing? Doesn't he know that he and his daughter are in deep trouble and want to tell the difference between life and death as soon as they meet? When Sikong Xiao saw Zhang Zizai being so close to the 9 Immortals in broad daylight, there was only disgust and contempt in his eyes. Zhang Zizai also disliked her. After all, he had called her ugly. However, Feng Xiaoyao still had to give him face. It was obvious that he was more serious about this matter. He wanted to let him see his old lover again, so Zhang Zizai agreed. Remember to come back. You won't be happy and miss Shu because of her, Zhu Xian said softly and glanced at Sikong Xiao with hostility. Zhang Zizai said seriously, how is that possible? I'm not interested in small breasts at all. Sikong Xiao was walking in front and was about to explode with anger again. She clenched her fists tightly and looked down, wanting to ask Zhang Zizai why he was so young. Following Sikong Xiao, the two of them came to Xiaoyao Palace. Many people on the road saw Zhang Zizai and Sikong Xiao walking together, but they didn't fight. They were immediately confused. Aren't the two of them mortal enemies now? The last time they met, Sikong Jin said that he wanted to reunite with Feng Xiaoyao, so this time it wouldn't be too sudden. When she entered Sikong Mansion, Chen Qingqin was already busy. There was a table full of delicacies from all over the continent. The taste was very sweet. After one meal, her cultivation level would probably improve. Seeing this delicious food and wine, Zhang Zizai couldn't help but think of Princess Lingxian. He missed her very much. If she were here, she would definitely feast on it. It can be seen that this thoughtful dinner was all created by Chen Qingqin. Sikong Jin invited the two of them to sit down. Sikong Xiao was about to walk over when he called him back. There was a seat next to Zhang Zizai. Sikong Xiao rolled his eyes at Zhang Zizai before sitting down next to him. Brother, last time we left in a hurry, I thought that one day we could get together again. Today I finally have this opportunity. Sikong Jin poured him some wine and drank with him. Let's have some food, Chen Qingqin said softly. Okay, eat. Feng Xiaoyao suddenly became incoherent, really disappointing. Anyway, it had nothing to do with him. Zhang Zizai started to eat silently. It tastes so good, everything you eat turns into a warm current that flows throughout your body. You can tell that the ingredients for cooking must be very expensive, and a lot of the meat comes from animals. Vegetables are also of elixir level. Next to him, Sikong Xiao was also sullen and didn't care about anything. Sikong Jin and Feng Xiaoyao started chatting, talking about the changes over the years and the past, feeling sad. Zhang Zizai took a look, and Feng Xiaoyao didn't seem to be hostile to Sikong Jin. He is not a stupid person, so does that mean that his decline in strength really has nothing to do with Sikong Jin? By the way, Zhang Zizai, I heard that you have successfully mastered the 9 Palaces heavenly sword technique, Sikong Jin asked. Zhang Zizai nodded, yes, holy god attendant. He exclaimed, it's really a miracle. It seems that your totem has the ability to contain 9 attributes. This is unbelievable. Feng Xiaoyao said, don't praise him. This grandson is easy to be proud and complacent. Compared with your daughter, he is nothing. How can you say that you are offering sacrifices to your disciples? Chen Qingqin said. Ha, Feng Xiaoyao laughed. Sikong Jin raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, it's really good to be free. It's really enviable that you can get such a priest. He didn't grow up in the Shen zone, but he still has such a talent, and he can get the 5th level evolution on the Divine Fortune Day. It means he is favored by the ancient gods. Xiaoyao, how did you accept him as a priest? Feng Xiaoyao said, he was brought by Ling Qingtian from the Yanlong dynasty. I happened to be on duty at the Gate of Origin, so I snatched this priest from him. This little guy really saved my face, but he was too high profile. It doesn't suit my low-key personality. Zhang Ziyi cursed in his heart, "You shameless old grandson, didn't you ask me to keep a high profile? That's it?" Envy Sikongjin toasted again. "Don't envy me. You have a daughter like Xiao, so you are enviable," Feng Xiaoao said in a daze. "So similar. It's exactly the same as when she was young." "Don't call me that," Sikong Xiao said. "Xiao, don't talk nonsense," Sikong Jin scolded, and then said to Feng Xiaoao, "Sorry, I spoiled her bad, her temper is a bit bad." "It's okay, the little girl has a good personality," Feng Xiaoao said. Sikong Jin nodded. He looked at Zhang Zizai and said, "Xiaoao, yesterday the palace master talked about Zizai. He said he must train him well and make him a pillar of the beast god palace. I have quite a few here. It's a very good resource. You can give Zizi a try. By the way, why don't you transfer him to me as a priest? I know that you have a free temperament and don't have much thought to guide him. My duty now is to inherit the priesthood. Maybe it will make him better." "Huh," Feng Xiaoao was startled for a moment. Seeing that the other party was not joking, he thought about it and said, "You have to ask Zizai yourself about this matter." Zhang Zizai didn't know what Sikong Jin was thinking. In fact, he had a certain amount of hostility towards Sikong Jin in his heart, so he smiled and refused, "Thank you, holy God, for your appreciation, but this old immortal takes good care of me, so I will still follow him. Well, we have to provide for him until the end of his life. We can't let him be alone again, right?" You, I won't die that easily," Feng Xiaoao slapped him on the back of the head. Everyone except Sikong Xiao laughed, which perfectly resolved the embarrassment this time. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Sikong Jin smiled and didn't mention the matter again. He only said that if Zhang Ziyi needed anything in the future, just tell him. Ziyi, I know you and Xiao have some misunderstandings. The reason why you are here today is actually to allow you to resolve your grudges. After all, these are small things. It is normal for young people to have some impulses. Xiaoao and I grew up together brothers, we naturally don't want you to fight with each other, you know. Zhang Zizai said, "Don't worry, holy god attendant, as long as she doesn't shamelessly cause trouble for me, I will never take the initiative to provoke her, a tigress." "What did you say?" Sikong Xiao almost turned over the table. "I didn't say anything. Can you please restrain yourself in front of the elders?" Zhang Zizai said innocently. Sikong Xiao glared at him bitterly. Sikong Jin had a headache. Looking at their relationship, if they don't fight, it's all because of the presence of their elders. It was against common sense. Did he know that Sikong Xiao was a heartthrob in the entire Shen zone, so why was Zhang Zizai not interested at all? Could it be that he was really confused by that witch? The banquet ended quickly. It was night after all, so Feng Xiaoao said he would go back first. Sikong Jin sent them out of the door. As soon as he came back, Sikong Xiao asked him, "Dad, do you want me to marry Zhang Zizai?" Seeing her disgusted expression, Sikong Jin shook his head and said, "Don't think too much, I just want you not to act like enemies when you meet." "That's good, I'll leave first. If he doesn't provoke me in the future, I won't pay attention to him. But if he still refuses to repent, I won't be polite to him." After saying that, she went back to the Beast God Tower to practice. Only Chen Qingqin looked at him in the darkness. Sikong Jin was in a very bad mood. He originally thought Zhang Zizai would choose him, but he didn't expect the young man to be so tactful and refuse directly. And Chen Qingqin's gaze made him even more uncomfortable. "Do you have any opinion?" Sikong Jin asked. Chen Qingqin shook her head and sighed, "Be nice to Xiao. She is not your tool. Sikongjin suddenly became angry. He held her shoulders and said, "Are you fair to me? I have paid so much for her and I have done my best. Go out and ask, which man can be so kind to other people's daughters?" Chen Qingcan bit her lip and was speechless. A total of 13 chapters have been updated today. Thank you for your support. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 282. On the way back from Sikong Palace to Xiaoao Palace, Feng Xiaoao was in a good mood. Zhang Zizai suddenly asked, "I heard that you were once the son of God. Did you encounter great changes?" "Where did you hear that?" Feng Xiaoao was startled. Zhang Zizai asked, "I know everything in general. Do you think it's possible that someone else harmed you?" Feng Xiaoao shook his head with a smile and said, "I practiced skills that I shouldn't have practiced, fell short, and ruined myself. Don't think too much, I have a character that will retaliate when I have a grudge. If there is really someone, I've already taken revenge on you." "Why do you think so?" Zhang Zizai said, "When I was in the Yanlong dynasty, someone used a Zhao Yu thing to harm me. She was a very good friend of mine at the time and almost destroyed me. Therefore, I used my own affairs to harm me. Thinking of you. If you were very prosperous at that time, it would not be impossible." "Really?" Feng Xiaoao fell silent, frowning, maybe recalling the situation at that time. After thinking for a long time, he still smiled and said, "My situation is different from yours. I really committed suicide by myself. He is the person involved and must know best." Zhang Zizai didn't think much about it. "Why does Sikongjin want me to be his disciple? He is competing with other holy god servants for the position of palace master. He said that the palace master values you. If you follow him, you can increase his capital. He already has a daughter like Sikong Xiao. This person is quite good at calculation," Zhang Zizai said. "That's why he mentioned it like this, because we have a good relationship. We used to have a really good relationship. In fact, if you want, you can be his disciple. He is more thoughtful about cultivating young people than I am, and you will have more opportunities. And it's a chance to get close to the little beauty. Stop talking nonsense, I'd better give it to you first." Feng Xiaoao got angry and said, "You bastard, if you want to die for me, I want the white-haired person to send you the black-haired person." Back at Xiaoao Hall, the 9 immortals have packed up and are moving to the Beast God Tower to practice. "Remember to come back often, I'm lonely," Feng Xiaoao said pitifully from the side. "You drink tea to stay healthy, but you're still afraid of being lonely. How can the Beast God Tower be as spacious as this place?" Feng Xiaoao said. Juxian just walked out of it and said, "You are overthinking. We are just going there to practice. My clothes are all here. If you lose one, I will ask you to pay with your life." Feng Xiaoao became depressed and said, "My life is not as good as your piece of clothing. You think too much. You can't even compare to one of my shoes. The purpose of going to the Beast God Tower is indeed to practice, the space there is not big." Zhang Zizai is now the floor leader of the 89th floor. After saying hello to the 9 gods, they boarded the Beast God Tower. This was Zhang Zizai's first time here, and he climbed directly to the 89th floor from the spiral staircase. It was late at night, and the top beings of the Beast God Tower were all practicing. Shiger has left, and the 89th floor has been emptied. What a big floor-to-ceiling window. After entering, the most eye-catching place must be the window inlaid with celestial stone. This piece of sky quartz is already very large, completely transparent, and tilted towards the sky. Although only half of the sky can be seen, there are already many stars and they look very beautiful. The 89th floor of the Beast God Tower is very high. From here, you can see the brilliance of the entire Beast God Palace. The scenery is completely included in your eyes. This feeling of being high above is really good. It's beautiful, but it's a little too small. There's a big gap between moving from a villa to an apartment building. Juxian didn't know what he was talking about anymore. She stood in front of the window, with the stars in the sky shining on her body. Her back was so beautiful, especially her perky buttocks, which were so attractive. Zhang Zizai stepped forward and hugged her gently from behind. Juxian's face was pretty red, and her eyes were filled with starlight, and she said softly, "The villa is too big, but a small home is more cozy. Whether this window is slanted, the open-air view on the top floor is the best. If you put a bed on it, you will be under the stars," Zhang Zizai said longingly. "That depends on your ability." She twisted a little, and her delicate body like a water snake rubbed against Zhang Zizai's body, causing his eyes to become bloodshot. The smell of her body is so delicious. The two of them were being swallowed up by madness, and when they were about to stage a primitive battle in this atmosphere, a cold voice suddenly came from outside. "Can you close the door?" Zhang Zizai trembled with fright. When he looked back, he saw Sikong Xiao standing at the door, looking at them with cold eyes. She was just passing by and was going up the spiral staircase. The door here was open and anyone could see in. "Don't look at anything inappropriate," Zhang Zizai said. Zhu Xian chuckled and said, "Sikong Xiao, I heard that your top floor has the best view. My little baby wants to take me to sleep up there for a night. Can you let us stay overnight tonight? Just stay here for one night." "You," Sikong Xiao blushed, "how could there be such a strange pair? She still wants to mess around in her territory. When she thinks of that scene, she goes crazy. The top floor of the Beast God Tower is such a sacred place. It is said that they are practicing under the eyes of the ancient gods. How vulgar are these two people? We'll only think about this kind of thing." She bit her lip, stamped her feet, and ran away immediately. "The little girl is so thin-skinned that she was scared away immediately," Juxian chuckled. "Yes, you have successfully declared your sovereignty again. No one can take me away from you anymore," Zhang Zizai said. Sikong Xiao, who may be the only person in the entire Beast God Palace who is a bit of a threat to her, now hates Zhang Zizai to the extreme. "You were originally mine. Perhaps, everyone knows that she doesn't have much time left. For the rest of the time, she just wants to occupy it alone, and no one can touch it. When she is gone, she will give him freedom. After all, he is still young and can't live his whole life by himself." That's what she thought. So now she just wants to hug tightly and don't want to separate at all. They began to practice in this Beast God Tower. As they expected, such a large piece of sky crystal stone was really effective, especially when the moon appeared on the sky crystal stone in the second half of the night. The sky crystal stone directly absorbed a lot of the moon's light and projected it on Zhang Zizai's body. In an instant, his speed of forging the 5th level of the Holy Body Realm increased a lot. Coupled with the progress of his own soul realm, his current efficiency is really terrifyingly fast. His speed is equal to that of Juxian. When he gets faster, Juxian's progress is also very fast, thanks to the involvement of the two people's totems. The black dragon and the white fox are entangled to death. The 5th level of the Holy Body Realm is to draw the light of the moon and forge a whole body blood system with the heart as the core, including blood and blood vessels themselves, which are extremely important parts of the body and the improvement of the entire system. Integrate the light of the moon into it, forming the power of the moon and stars, and travel through the body with the blood. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 283. After entering the Beast God Tower and starting to practice, Zhang Zizai never went out again. During the day, he was drawing talismans, honing the 9 palaces' heavenly swordsmanship and Xiaoyu, and at night he was forging the holy body, and was very busy. A boring cultivation life would only be filled with beauty when accompanied by a beautiful woman. Zhang Zia grew up happily amid the envy of everyone. But a few days later, Ling Qingtian knocked on the door outside. When he opened the door, it was him and his wife Gu Xianying. As soon as he opened the door, Ruo Xiaoyu threw herself into his arms, her eyes slightly red and swollen. "Is someone bullying you?" Zhang Zizai's anger was instantly ignited. Ruo Xiaoyu is his most precious sister, and she has always been pampered like a princess. Ling Qingtian said, "It's nothing. Recently, some people have made trouble for Xiaoyu for no apparent reason. From what Lu Dingxing and the others said, there seems to be such people. I checked and found that these priests basically have a good relationship with the Shi family. I guess they found out your details and knew that Xiaoyu and the others have a good relationship with you, so they caused trouble for them. Brother, today there was a holy body realm priest who suddenly said that I stole their things and wanted to beat me up. Fortunately, the divine attendant saw it and saved me," Ruo Xiaoyu said, a little annoyed. "I had never met him before, but he just said I was a thief. And a group of people laughed at me. That's it?" Zhang Zizai knew what was going on. To be honest, he had touched his reverse scales, and now his eyes were bloodshot. Ling Qingtian said, "Don't worry, knowing that these people have such little thoughts, the two of us can just keep an eye on them, otherwise the four of them will go out. I have also explained to Qiuyi that Wan Qian originally stayed here every day. He's practicing next to me, so there's nothing wrong with him." "Sorry to bother you too," Zhang Zizai said gratefully. Ling Qingtian said, "What trouble are you talking about? I brought them here. As their divine attendant, I must be responsible for them. If someone bullies you, no matter who they are, they must be kicked out." Gu Xianying said, "Don't worry, Xiaoyu, I will take her with me. These people are really cowards. I can't deal with you, so I use such low-level methods, which really insults the reputation of Shenzong." They were already alert, and with them taking care of him, Zhang Zizai felt at ease in a place like Shenzong. However, Xiaoyu was so frightened that she cried, which made Zhang Zizai feel deeply angry. Just as he said this, someone suddenly came up from the spiral staircase below. He was a young man wearing a light blue robe, about 17 or 18 years old, with a majestic appearance, sharp eyes, a very fair complexion, and a pair of red phoenix eyes. His lips are relatively thin, and he is not an easy person to deal with at first glance. He glanced at everyone, with a sneer on his lips, and continued walking up. Ling Qingtian said, "Shiyun, those little dog legs are sent by you, right? Among the priests, you are considered to be quite talented. You still play such a little trick, which makes people look down on you. Judging from the name, this guy is from the Shi family." He is continuing to walk up, which means that his position in the Beast God Tower is above the 89th floor. The young man named Shiyun said calmly, "I sent him. The purpose is to tell you, Zhang Zizai, come and challenge me quickly. I am the 99th floor of the Beast God Tower. If you don't challenge me for a day, I will continue to harass your friends, making them unable to survive or die." 99th floor. He was straightforward. Above the 90th floor, the highest level Zhang Zizai could challenge was the 99th floor. Only when you reach the 90th floor can you challenge the top of the tower. Every time I challenge the top of the tower, it is a grand event. In this way, this guy named Shiyun is the strongest next to Sikong Xiao. Lu Dingxing, Bai Shenjin, Ruo Xiaoyu, Wan Qian, just these four people. If you don't challenge me, they will be in danger every day. Even if they are protected by the gods, I don't believe that they don't act alone." Shiyun smiled. Ling Qingtian said, "Don't scare him. I have recorded what you just said with the image talisman. We will see how the palace master will deal with you then." Shiyun smiled and said, "The palace master is busy with everything, so he won't care about the trivial matters of one or two useless priests. These people have no qualifications to stay in Shenzong and will have to leave sooner or later. The cultivation realm of Lu Dingxing and the others is indeed incomparable to his, and the gap is getting wider and wider. After all, this is the Shenzong and the core of the world. This is normal. However, Zhang Zizhe did not allow an outsider to say this to them. Remember Zhang Zizhe, give me a challenge earlier, I have already prepared it. If you are slow, they will be in danger. Especially this little girl, I think she has a lot of good-looking brothers here. Shi Yun smiled. Are you Shiger's brother? Zhang Zizhe asked. Yes, it will take half a year for Xiao to recover. I have to let you lie down for 10 years like your holy god servant. Only then can I be considered competent as an elder brother. Okay, just go back and wait. I don't need you to lie down for 10 years, but you have to leave me a leg. Zhang Zizhe squinted his eyes and also smiled. But people who are familiar with it all know that threatening the people around him is the most intolerable thing for him and the most despicable thing he thinks. This young man named Xiun has triggered his murderous intention. We'll see. The other party smiled, turned around and walked up to his territory on the 99th floor. After he left, Zhang Zizhe handed Ruo Xiaoyu to Gu Xianying and said, Servant of God, the 4 of them will be entrusted to you. It will only take a month or 2 for this guy to come out and cause trouble. Ling Qingtian said, You don't have to worry, Shi Yun just said some harsh words, he can't do anything wrong, otherwise the laws of the divine sect will make him fall into ruin, and I left evidence today. Gu Xianying hugged Ruo Xiaoyu and said, Xiaoyu and I will definitely be inseparable. They haven't had children yet, so they love Ruo Xiaoyu very much. Brother, don't worry, I won't run around and make you worry. Zhang Zizhe was really not worried. He sent them down and returned to the Beast God Tower to continue practicing. From tonight, he remembered the name Shi Yun. With his progress in this Beast God Tower, the time for the final battle will definitely not be too long. The next main task, in addition to absorbing the moonlight at night and forging heart blood, he drew a lot of dead spirit shield talismans, and then began to familiarize himself with the new talisman, called Wushan, Mo Miasma Talisman. This is also a moon-level talisman, which means that he is already a moon-level totem talisman master. The magic miasma talisman can release a large amount of miasma, forming a miasma field, allowing Zhang Ziyu to move freely in it, while his enemies will suffer. The miasma can not only block his vision, but also corrode his flesh and internal organs, and can make the enemy feel cold and weak. Fighting in it will be extremely uncomfortable. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 284. After his soul realm was upgraded, Zhang Zizhe found that the moon-level totem talisman was not difficult for him. Next, he estimated that he could draw a large number of moon-level talismans, which could play a considerable role in the battle. The talismans drawn by the totem talisman master himself are infused with his own true qi, so after being activated, the explosive power will be about twice as strong as the talismans used by others. This is also the reason why the totem talisman master is so strong. If Zhang Zizhe buys other people's talismans to use, the effect he exerts is actually only half of the real effect. It is said that the more powerful the talisman, the greater the difference between the talisman master's own use and the use of others, and it is even possible that some talismans cannot be used by others at all. The reason why Zhang Zizhe drew so many talismans is that after the last sale, the materials are sufficient, and the second is to give Ruo Xiaoyu and others a way to save their lives. Now the 4 of them have a lot of healing glow talismans, soul-soothing talismans for yin people, and undead shield talismans that can protect themselves and counterattack. Among them, the undead shield talisman cannot be broken by ordinary saints. When Zhang Zizhe successfully drew the lifeless, magic miasma talisman, he made a lot of them and sent them to them. With the protection of the magic miasma talisman, the people Xuanhuan found didn't even have the chance to get close to them. In the future, we have to draw a lot of talismans to protect them. Zhang Zizai occasionally flipped through the talismans of the life and death talisman section. There were thousands of them. There were too many for him to learn. He now wanted to have hundreds of clones, and he probably had time to learn all these talismans. He tried it, and the effect of the magic miasma talisman can be said to be quite good. Even if the miasma dissipated, it can continue to be released, especially when several magic miasma talismans are released together. The whole battlefield can be filled with smoke and miasma, as if countless ghosts are surrounding them. Since your totem evolved and you practice these Wuxian series of talismans, your temperament has become more and more sinister, Juxian said. Why? Don't you like it? Zhang Zizai said with a smile. I like it. He looks like a gangster on the outside, but he is pure on the inside. This is perfect, she said with a smile. You have a good eye. Xuanhuan wanted to use Ruo Xiaoyu and others to stimulate Zhang Zizai to challenge him, so that he would have a chance to take revenge. But unfortunately, he made a wrong calculation. Even if his friends found an opportunity, Ruo Xiaoyu and others could easily resolve it with talismans. However, Zhang Zizai would not endure it for too long. This kind of mean behavior will be punished sooner or later. Challenging the strong is Zhang Zizai's desire. To be honest, even the last son of God Shiyu could not make Zhang Zizai show his true strength. The sky crystal stone of the beast god tower constantly gathered moonlight and sprinkled it on him. The two people sat cross-legged together, shrouded in the moonlight, as if they were two gods, handsome men and beautiful women, really enviable. Juxian is 28 years old, but she looks like an 18-year-old girl, except for her great figure. She and Zhang Zizai are a perfect match. With the improvement of Soul Realm, the shining of huge sky crystal stone, and the terrible sun, moon, and star holy dragon body forging technique, his cultivation progress can be said to be rapid. Others practice boringly, and may even get irritated and stop practicing to be in a trance, but he is not boring at all. The fragrance of the beauty in front of him is so fragrant. Just as Feng Xiaoao said, others practice vegetarianism, but Zhang Zizai practices meat. The meat practice is indeed as fast as thunder. Zhang Zizai almost did not encounter any difficulties. Within a month, he successfully forged the blood system of his whole body. Now his blood contains the power of the moon holy dragon, as if countless moonlight dragons are contained in it, especially the heart, which beats strong and powerful. After reaching the 5th level of the holy body realm, his holy body has become more and more perfect and majestic. The more parts of his body are forged into holy body, the more the capacity of his chi is constantly increasing, and the chi of the death god dark dragon is even more majestic. After the realm breakthrough, he became unprecedentedly powerful. Xuanhuan is a wild level totem, the 7th level of the holy body realm. You have the capital to defeat him, Juxian said. Zhang Zizai has been waiting for this day. These days, Xiaoyu and the others have been living in fear, which is really unpleasant. Who wants to live this kind of hiding life? Even if nothing happened to them, Xuanhuan's behavior is a great infringement. You haven't been out this month. Do you know what is circulating outside? Juxian said. What? At that time, Yun had spread the news a month ago that he had issued a challenge to you. He said openly that if you didn't challenge him, he would cause trouble for Xiaoyu and the other four. As a result, you didn't make any moves for a month, and now everyone is laughing at you for being a coward. Zhang Zizai was angry and said, how can you say that I am a coward? Yes, you are a coward, and you have been shrinking for a month. Everyone is laughing at you. Let's see how long you will shrink. I will abuse you now and let them see what I can do, Zhang Zizai said. Are you bragging in front of a beauty? It's easy to be abused in return if you say such things. That guy must have prepared a killer move to meet your challenge. Maybe his parents have prepared it for him. This trip is much more dangerous than you think. Zhang Zizai said nonchalantly, all frauds are paper tigers in front of me. Just enjoy your man beating others into pig heads. I can make him kneel down and call me ancestor with just one finger. You can brag as much as you want. If you get tricked, don't come back to me crying. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. If I come back to you crying, will I have milk to drink? Zhang Zizai laughed. Eat your pig head in return, Juxian beat him up. He was about to be beaten to death before he even went to battle. This violent maniac. Jokes aside, Zhang Zizai went to find a big banner and wrote a paragraph of big words with a spirit wood pen below, Shiyun, you come to the beast god battlefield tomorrow. I will beat you to a pulp and call me dad in public. He hung the banner directly and flew it on the beast god tower. Everyone passing by could see it clearly. This is a declaration of war. And it's an extremely arrogant declaration of war. Everyone passing by was stunned. What a big tone. Shi Yun's father, that is the Holy Spirit servant Shi Jian. He is a competitor for the future palace master. Zhang Zizai actually wants to compete with him for the job. This banner was so explosive that it caused a sensation in the beast god palace in a blink of an eye. It was said that people from other god palaces knew about it and rushed here directly to watch this fierce battle. An hour after the banner was hung, someone tore it down. As a result, within a quarter of an hour, another banner was hung up, which read, Shiyun, I will cut off one of your legs tomorrow. Please prepare a stretcher and a small coffin for your legs. Note, whoever tears my banner will be my grandson. No one dared to tear it down this time. There was already a group of onlookers below. This Zhang Zizai has been a coward for a month, and has been bullied to death. I thought he was going to shrink completely, but he is so crazy today. I guess he was forced into a corner, and he jumped over the wall. After all, Shi Yun's methods are not very good, but considering that he wants to avenge his brother, it is understandable. This is interesting. Let's see who will have the last laugh tomorrow. It can be seen that both of them are prepared. But Zhang Zizai's banner is really amazing. How can he be such a bold person? The challenge has been issued. In the evening, another banner came out, with a turtle painted on it. The turtle's head was changed to a human head, and then an arrow pointed at the head, and two words were written behind it, Shiyun. This turtle is well painted. People exclaimed. That is, Zhang Zizai's painting, which is at the master level. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 285. Early the next morning, the beast god battlefield was already crowded with people. Who would miss such a good show? This was much more sensational than the last time Zhang Zizai challenged the Son of God. After all, Shiyun was on the 99th floor of the beast god tower. From the perspective of the beast god palace, he is inferior to one person and superior to 10,000 people. Shiyun is already 18 years old. He is not very talented in terms of talent, but his current strength is indeed extraordinary. Especially Zhang Zizai's three banners are really breathtaking. It is said that when Shiyun found out, he cut down a tree in their house on the spot. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Even many priests and divine attendants from other shrines came, and the beast god battlefield was unprecedentedly lively. Early in the morning, everyone came and took their positions. Some of the divine attendants had to crowd together with the priests. It's not that I look down on Zhang Zizai. His previous strength was about the same as that of the Son of God, and he is no match for Shiyun. In addition, Shiyun was too prepared. If he dared to provoke Zhang Zizai like this, he must have detailed plans to restrain Zhang Zizai. The solution, this time Zhang Zizai finally couldn't help it and fell into his trap. That's not necessarily true. Zhang Zizai dares to challenge. Doesn't it mean that he has a way to crack it? I think he was forced to panic. It is said that the one from Mujin Palace is his biological sister. But Xiun always had people target him. If it was my sister, I couldn't help but take action. Zhang Zizai's progress is so fast. He is like a monster. He has only been in Shenzhen for a short time. He has such good fortune, which is actually quite admirable. Forget it, he has good luck, but he hangs out with cursors all day long. Many people say that his life will definitely be ruined. In addition, his character is too arrogant. There are many such people in the history of Shenzhen, among them most of them died young. You have to know that genius is nothing until you become a strong person. If you die, everything will be lost. Yes, there are too many examples. With a character like his, he can't live long no matter where he is. He has no background, and the Shi family has such a huge strength, and he still offends so unscrupulously. This is really seeking death. Prelude, to be honest, I really don't think much of him. He is very lucky and talented, but his brain is really bad. If I were him, I would definitely stay away from the cursor, and then have a good relationship with Shi's family, practice low-key, and make progress low-key. Only in this way can I survive the genius. Period. Wait until you truly become a strong person. You don't know, the cursor is really so beautiful and alluring. She is like a witch. People will probably be addicted to it when they see her. Zhang Zizai was so seduced and served by the witch every day. He has been poisoned for a long time. It would be weird if he could get away from that demon girl, after all, he is young. It's such a pity that such a good talent should be ruined by this witch. My talent is as good as Shenzong's, so I would rather trade with him and let that witch destroy me, haha. It's exposed. To be honest, she's so beautiful. Everyone has some thoughts in their hearts. If she wasn't a cursor, she would really be a peerless beauty that would make all the men in the Shen sect fall under her skirt. Zhang Zizai looked down through the sky crystal and was stunned. Damn it, there are so many people, why are you watching the monkey show? Don't you hope so? If it hadn't been for your banner yesterday, there wouldn't have been such a sensation. Zhu Xian rolled his eyes. Haha, what do you know? This is called confidence. In our words, this is called pretending. What's the meaning? It just means you are handsome. Stop fooling me. When I return in triumph, you must reward me well. Just as he said this, there was a loud noise below. He looked down and saw that because a group of people had arrived, the people around the beast god battlefield made way for a passage. The reputation of this group of people is really huge. Zhang Zizai took a closer look and saw that the leader was the Holy Spirit attendant Shijian. His wife Xuanhuan was also beside him. This shrew had a fierce face. Zhang Zizai didn't believe Shijian. Jian still likes her. Next to Xuanhuan was the elegant Qiun, and there was a sedan next to him. It was obvious that the son of God, Shijir, was lying inside. In addition to them, there were more than a dozen people from the Shi family, some of whom were divine attendants, some who were quasi-divine attendants, and some who were priests. The group of people was quite powerful. When they arrived, Zhang Zizai was about to go out. As soon as he opened the door, he saw Feng Xiaoao standing at the door, saying, "Grandson, Grandpa is here to support you so that you won't be bullied." Bitch. Zhang Zizai rolled his eyes and walked down. Before he had taken 2 steps, someone came down the spiral staircase. When he turned around, he saw that it was Sikong Jin and Sikong Xiao. "Xiaoao, you're here too," Sikong Jin said with a smile. Feng Xiaoao said, "I can't help it. This grandson won't calm down and gets into trouble with others again. I have to come over and wipe his ass." He spoke more casually, so Sikong Xiao frowned a little. She glanced over and saw that Zhang Zizai was still standing with the 9 immortals, which meant that they must have been doing sleazy things all day long in this sacred beast god tower. The more she thought about it, The angrier she became. How could these people be so filthy? You will definitely lose today, Sikong Xiao said. Holy shit, your dad and this old ghost are brothers. You should support me. Why are you cursing me? Zhang Zizai said. Xiao you underestimate yourself, Sikong Jin said. Zhang Zizai smiled and said, I know she is actually scared, because after I beat Shiyun, I will pull her down from the top soon. From now on, we will be separated by a wall. Let you listen carefully. I am how to practice. There was one floor behind, so if there was a wall, the sound could be heard. When Sikong Xiao thought that he had reached the 99th floor and would go crazy with Juxian downstairs, he shuddered and said quickly, then I wish you a miserable defeat today. Sikong Jin and Feng Xiaoao looked at each other helplessly. Were these two young men enemies in their previous lives? If you think my cultivation makes too much noise in the future, you can just move back home, haha, Zhang Zizai glared. Shameless, get out. Juxian did not come down, and they stared at each other in the spiral staircase all the way. You will definitely lose today. Since ancient times, people like you who are proud and complacent will lose miserably. Today, Shiyun will make you recognize the reality, Sikong Xiao gritted his teeth. Bullshit, I can make him kneel down and call me daddy with just a breath. Do you like being someone else's daddy so much? Shameless. A shameless person like you can still get the 5th level evolution source. The ancient god is really blind. She was really furious when she saw Zhang Zizai. Shut up. Xiao don't talk nonsense. If others hear it, you will be in trouble, Sikong Jin said hurriedly. Forget it, don't let them get together. Zhang Zizai, come with me first. Feng Xiaoao also had a headache, and hurriedly pulled Zhang Zizai away, otherwise it would probably be a big fight on the way down. Shiyun had already arrived. When Zhang Zizai came down from the Beast God Tower, the atmosphere on the scene finally exploded with excitement. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 286. Zhang Zizai knew that although 9 Immortals had not come down, she was definitely watching him next to the crystal that day. Why didn't she come down? It was because everyone would look at her strangely. He didn't want her to stay like this forever, only to live in the dark and silently do her own good. As a man, if he cannot change these things, then he feels that he is useless. So from beginning to end, he was working hard. He knew that she was smiling and smiling every day, but she was still worried in her heart. Once a person knows the date of his death and counts the remaining days, that is the most terrifying thing in the world. But she almost never suffered in front of Zhang Zizai, because she didn't want Zhang Zizai to be unhappy. So many times, both of them seemed not to remember the incident. However, everyone will keep reminding them that she is a cursor and that her time is running out in the future. Zhang Zizai seemed happy, but in fact he was angry. When he stood on the battlefield of the beast god, the eyes he looked at everyone were full of anger. They had no sympathy, they just regarded her as someone who was unlucky. This Shenzong is unfair to her. So from beginning to end, he never liked it here. However, he would not show his anger on his face. When he stood in this position, facing everyone's gaze, when he was in his most magnificent state, he glanced around for a week, squinting and looking at the people in this place where geniuses gathered. These people are not exempt from vulgarity. Everyone in the world is actually the same. He was never afraid of anyone. At this moment, with a relaxed smile on his face, he pointed at Shiyun and said, "Guy son, don't waste time, hurry up and let grandpa beat you until you don't even recognize your father. One sentence is enough to be hot enough." Presumptuous. A group of people in the Shi family were angry. Zhang Zizai dared to claim to be Shi Jian's father. This was the holy god's attendant. He was so disrespectful to the holy god's attendant. And it's still in public. Zhang Zizai, how dare you insult the holy god? Xuanhuan was frightened and said in shock. Feng Xiaoao quickly stood up and said, "Everyone, calm down, I was wrong. This grandson calls himself grandpa to everyone he meets. I will definitely let him change this habit in the future. It is important for young people to learn from each other. Don't waste time because of these trivial matters." People understand, and it seems that this is what they learned from Feng Xiaoao. When people saw that Feng Xiaoao was standing next to Sikong Jin, they did not expect that these two holy god servants were actually standing together. Legend has it that there were some stories between them. Shi Jian smiled and said, "On the battlefield, boring words are just a way to anger the opponent. Even so, you still need to pay attention to your words. This is the first time. I don't care about you. Yunur, go up and speak with strength. Tell me." In the face of strength, he is a person who plays tricks after all. "Dad, I got it." Chi Yun jumped up high and landed in front of Zhang Zizai, squinting at Zhang Zizai. Behind that, the door of the sedan chair opened, and Shiju, the son of God, was lying there. He looked at Zhang Zizai with blood-red eyes and said, "Brother, it's up to you." Zhang Zizai glanced at him and asked, "Shenzi, you have been lying in bed for a month. Do you feel relaxed? You'll find out soon. It's difficult. By the way, if your brother ends up like you, will you sleep in the same bed or sleep separately?" Zhang Zizai said with a smile. Everyone also laughed. This Zhang Zizai is really arrogant and complacent. At this juncture, he has not taken Shi Yun seriously yet. If this continues, he will really suffer. After all, the entire Shi family is supporting Shi Yun and has long been prepared to use various means to face Zhang Zizai. There is no certainty that they will not send Shi Yun here. There's so much nonsense. Shi Yun smiled coldly and pulled out a black spear from behind. The spear was filled with black shadows, the tip of the spear was very sharp, and there were many ghosts. At a glance, it was clear that many innocent souls had died in it. The blood on the tip of the spear made people feel, there is a feeling of trembling in the soul. This is the soul-piercing gun. Zhang Zizai wants to fight him, so of course he has read his information. He does a good job with the soul-piercing spear. This is the Japanese Totem divine weapon. It is stronger than Zhang Zizai's dragon nether sword. It is made of better material and more powerful. This is his advantage. In the next 10 years, you will be a waste like your holy god attendant for 10 years. Shi Yun was different from Zhang Zizai. He spoke very quietly so that only Zhang Zizai could hear him. Just after he finished speaking, he appeared like a ghost and took action instantly. Behind him, a pair of wings suddenly appeared. They were black wings, entangled with a large amount of demonic energy. As they waved, the demonic energy surged. This is the devil-winged fire phoenix totem. It's a pretty powerful wild-level totem. The movement technique under his feet is called 10,000 demonic shadows, which is basically at the level of Xiaoyu. To be honest, Yun's fighting style at this time is very similar to Zhang Zizai's, both are full of demonic energy. The difference is that he only has jet black body. Flame, but Zhang Zizai has countless attributes. Fireworks and shooting stars. He used the 10,000 devil shadow body technique to create countless ghost shadows, making it difficult for people to identify his true location. Then he used the soul-piercing gun to perform the fireworks and meteor spear technique. For a moment, Zhang Zizai was enveloped in a black flaming starry sky. Above his head, countless black flaming meteors fell from the sky. Each meteor was a sharp spear tip. This soul-piercing gun has a terrifying soul-piercing effect. It can be said that every attack is almost equivalent to the effect of half a soul-suppressing talisman. It is difficult for ordinary opponents to resist, but Zhang Zizai's soul is extremely powerful. The effect of this soul-piercing gun is just right. He is ineffective, and the power of his soul is an aspect that Xuanhuan cannot estimate. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Xuanhuan's huge reliance is the soul-piercing gun. He has only recently mastered it. This time, he is confident that he can directly suppress Zhang Zizai. From this point of view, Zhang Zizai is indeed in danger. However, his free-flowing movement skills were also extremely good. Amid the riots of the opponent's marksmanship, he was like a fish swimming in the water, unable to catch it. Impossible. Even if he didn't hit him, under the soul-piercing effect, his soul should still be stinging. Why didn't he feel it? Xuanhuan was shocked. The battle had just begun, and Zhang Zizai was beyond his expectations. In the blink of an eye, Zhang Zizai suddenly threw out several soul-soothing charms in his hand. Let you have a taste of what a real soul attack is, Zhang Zizai sneered. The moment he hit the soul-suppressing talisman with his left hand, he directly used the Nine Palace Heavenly Sword technique with his right hand. The Crimson Fire Heavenly Sword, the Thunderstorm Heavenly Sword, the Golden Light Heavenly Sword, the Frozen Heavenly Sword, the Water Source Heavenly Sword, the Wind-Killing Heavenly Sword, the Black Earth Heavenly Sword, the Brilliant Heavenly Sword, and the Empty Wood Heavenly Sword. The 9 heavenly swords are all huge black sword energy, very violent. The key is that the 9 attributes are completely different. Black flames, strong winds, thunder, ice, etc. fall crazily. 9 palace sword formation. These 9 sword energies formed a sword formation. Under Zhang Zizai's power of the Star Holy Dragon and the power of the Moon Holy Dragon, they gathered the true energy of the Death God Nether Dragon to achieve a terrifying explosion. There was nowhere to escape from the 9 palace sword formation. The key was at this moment. At that time, Yun was still affected by Zhang Zizai's soul-suppressing talisman. The fireworks and shooting stars in his hand quickly collapsed, and he was completely crushed by Zhang Zizai. He wanted to use the soul-piercing gun soul attack to defeat Zhang Zizai, but he never expected that Zhang Zizai would use the same method to suppress him in turn. People saw with their own eyes that Xuanhuan was directly defeated by Zhang Zizai's strong crushing at the beginning. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 287. Superstitious belief in the effect of the soul-piercing gun was the fundamental reason why Xuanhuan was crushed by Zhang Zizai. In front of Zhang Zizai, who possesses the soul-suppressing talisman, suppressing the soul level is not Xuanhuan's advantage, but his disadvantage. When the soul-piercing gun was completely ineffective against Zhang Zizai's ethereal realm soul, he didn't have much advantage in terms of infuriating energy or totem. You know, Zhang Zizai is already at the 5th level of the Holy Body Realm, and is much stronger than when he defeated Shizhi. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. The 9 Palaces' heavenly swordsmanship crushed him, and Xuanhuan was in an extremely embarrassed state. Several sword marks were suddenly penetrated on his body, and it looked like he was about to be swallowed up by Zhang Zizai's sword moves. Such a crushing scene is simply breathtaking. They had experienced Zhang Zizai's abnormality many times, but this time it was still beyond their imagination. Because no one thought that today's battle would actually be a crushing match. Seeing this, Sikong Jin smiled and said to Shijian, who was not far away, "It seems that your son is a little unprepared." "It's still early, why bother making a conclusion?" Shijian said calmly. But it can be seen that he is still frowning slightly, indicating that he is very dissatisfied with the status quo. The meaning of his words shows that Xuanhuan must have a trick up his sleeve. This battle is so important to him, and he will definitely make multiple arrangements. Xuanhuan, who was in the center of the whirlpool, was blushing under the suppression of Zhigong Tianjian. The destructive power directly penetrated his defense. "Zhang Zizai," he growled lowly. He knew that he must not be defeated today, otherwise the Shi family would lose all face to their brothers. He no longer hesitated, and at that moment, he took out a fiery red ball that was burning with flames. The ball was not big, and he put it directly in his mouth. At that moment, his whole body was undergoing tremendous changes. Suddenly, his true energy and momentum surged, condensing into a thin layer of flame on his holy body, like a shield, protecting his entire body. So much so that Zhang Zizai's sword moves were completely blocked by the flame shield. It can be said that that small bead simply saved his life. Okay, in order for Xiun to win, I gave him the Kun-level totem weapon Fire Phoenix Pearl. At a young age, he used this kind of precious treasure, and he was basically invincible when fighting against his peers. But, this is the Xiyun's true strength. He's a bit deceiving himself. Sikong Jin was on Zhang Zizai's side today, so he felt a little unhappy when he saw the Fire Phoenix Pearl. When everyone heard it, they realized that this was the Fire Phoenix Pearl, which was a very famous treasure in the history of their family. It had been passed down from generation to generation, but it was basically not used by young people. After all, young people are less than 30% effective. But even if it's 30%, it can still improve Xiyun's abilities in all aspects and provide an unbreakable shield at the same time. If you use a talisman that you did not draw yourself, it is a violation. But in terms of totem weapons, because the cultivation level is not enough and the power of the top totem weapons cannot be exerted, there are not many restrictions. But after all, there are some special types of totem weapons, such as the Fire Phoenix Pearl, which can escape from the rules. After all, Shi Jian said that this was given to Xiyun. Why couldn't he use his own totem weapon? Therefore, Shi Jian immediately responded coldly, "Yuner performed well. I gave him the Fire Phoenix Pearl a long time ago. Now it is part of his strength. He has a high background and possesses some valuable treasures that exceed those of his peers. Very normal. His words are also well-founded and can only be believed. Although people know that without the Fire Phoenix Pearl, Xiyun is no match for Zhang Zizai, but so what? The current reality is that Xiyun possesses the Fire Phoenix Pearl, and is exerting its power at this time. His transformation caused a lot of noise, allowing him to completely block Zhang Zizai's attack, and he was able to counter-attack immediately. People felt that Zhang Zizai was depressed now. He definitely didn't have a treasure like the Fire Phoenix Pearl anyway. With Xiyun possessing the Fire Phoenix Pearl, it may be difficult for Sikong Xiao to deal with him. Yes, with his strength, at this age, he can rank among the top 10 in the entire Shen zone. Even in the entire Origin continent, he is among the best. Because of his genius brother, Xiyun has been ignored. In fact, he is really good. He is only one step away from the Son of God. Seeing the defeated people, they turned around with the help of their ancestors' treasures. All this was not beyond Zhang Zizai's expectations. If Xiyun was not prepared enough, how could he dare to provoke him like this? Fire Phoenix Pearl. He smiled coldly. He knew clearly how powerful the shield on this guy was, but it might scare him. I admit that you are quite strong, but today, you must lie down. From now on you will become a waste. Xiyun had the advantage, with a smile on his face. He vibrated his magic wings and flew towards Zhang Zizai. The power of the soul-piercing gun in his hand was greatly increased. The Fire Phoenix Pearl can improve everything, which is really scary. Facing the coming attack of the violent storm, Zhang Zizai could only smile. His determination seemed to people to be just ignorance, because with his background, he definitely didn't know how terrifying the Fire Phoenix Pearl was. His defeat was already expected. Just when Xiyun was about to reverse the situation and put pressure on him, Zhang Zizai held a sword in his right hand, and a bunch of talismans appeared on his left hand. He is also very rich now. Although he didn't have top-level totem weapons, as a totem talisman master, he had a huge advantage in battle. Now he had all the Death Shield Talisman and Magic Miasma Talisman in his hands. The Death Shield Talisman can be used for defense. If the enemy gets close, it can also penetrate his body and cause corrosive damage. As for the Magic Miasma Talisman, it can create a miasma space, and it can also be stacked. Zhang Zizai now has a lot of Magic Miasma Talismans. The value of his Magic Miasma Talismans is obviously several times that of the Soul Calming Talisman, but he is not worried about money at all. He directly tore 10 pieces and triggered the power. Suddenly, a large amount of grey mist began to spread around him. In a very short moment, the entire Beast God battlefield was completely engulfed by the grey mist. Seeing the surging grey mist, people were stunned. Many people didn't know what kind of talisman it was. Now the battlefield is completely obscured, and you can't see what's happening inside. A large amount of grey gas was rolling, like an invisible giant beast covering the Beast God battlefield, and Xiyun and Zhang Zizai were swallowed up. This guy has a new talisman. When will he sell it to me? Especially this kind, the effect is really amazing. Su Ying from the Fubao Pavilion was also here. She had a very experienced eye for talismans and could see at a glance how amazing the Magic Miasma Talisman was. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 288. Of course he can come and go freely in the Demon Miasma Talisman made by Zhang Zizai himself. But Xiyun was like a trapped animal inside. Although the miasma of this demonic miasma talisman will dissipate, it will take time, and as soon as it dissipated, Zhang Zizai immediately added another one. It is impossible to blow it away with strong winds or burn it with flames, because this miasma is very heavy. As soon as it is dispersed, it comes back right away, and all the miasma almost seems to be stuck together. Anyway, this is a very difficult talisman to crack. In this talisman, Zhang Zizai performed Xiao Ao's movement, even more like a ghost. He is also protected by the Necromancer Shield Talisman. Speaking of shields, he also has it. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. People can only see that there seems to be flames burning within the scope of the miasma. Don't leave, Xiyun chased in the miasma. Because the entire Beast God battlefield was filled with miasma, he could not leave this area. This kind of trivial trick can only confuse the sight. Do you think you can stop me? Xiyun was blessed with the Fire Phoenix Pearl, and he was eager to kill. He kept breaking the miasma and chased Zhang Zizai. You've lost. The effects of my Fire Phoenix Pearl are endless. Xiyun seemed to be getting more and more confident, because Zhang Zizai didn't dare to confront him head-on. Really, after about a quarter of an hour of fierce fighting, Zhang Zizai retreated every time and then escaped. Within the scope of this miasma, Xiyun could not catch him and kill him with one blow. It seems that you have been a coward for a month, and you are still a coward. You don't even have the courage to fight me. Xiyun sneered. When he spoke inside, people outside could hear him. They probably knew that even with the demonic miasma talisman, Zhang Zizai was just struggling to survive. The Fire Phoenix Pearl is truly invincible. Don't you notice, are you weak? Suddenly, Zhang Zizai's cold laughter came. It's been a quarter of an hour. Even though your Fire Phoenix Pearl has blocked a lot, the miasma has already entered your body while you were speaking. Feel it? Are you feeling weak now? Zhang Zizai smiled. It wasn't until this moment that Xiyun realized in surprise that he had never paid attention to this aspect and was only focused on chasing Zhang Zizai. Checking the body at this moment, I found that the inside of the body was filled with grey gas. This grey gas was extremely cold and mixed with the true energy and the holy body, making the whole body very uncomfortable and unable to exert its fighting power at all. Zhang Zizai knew his physical condition very well. Suddenly, Zhang Zizai appeared in front of him. The longa sword in his hand changed into the state of an épée. He held the épée in both hands and launched an attack at this critical moment. Nine Palaces heavenly swordsmanship. Break out again. This time it was performed with a heavy sword, and it must be more rough. Nine terrifying sword energies combined to form a nine-palace sword formation, swallowing up the cloud at that moment. I have the fire phoenix speed. Shi-Yun is not afraid at all. He has the fire phoenix speed to protect his body and can resist. Therefore, when all the soul-piercing guns in his hand were knocked out, he didn't seem to be worried. But in the next moment, all the power of the nine-palace sword formation was poured into his left leg. Bang bang bang. That fire phoenix speed is so terrifying, 8 consecutive sword blows didn't even open the shield. It's just that Shi-Yun miscalculated. During the 9th sword attack, the shield of the fire phoenix pearl was broken. Zhang Ziyi's sword hit him directly on his thigh. Needless to say, one thigh flew out. This is much more spectacular than the arm. The key is that the miasma still exists everywhere, and most people have no idea what is happening. It's just that Shijian and the others can see what's happening in this miasma. However, even if they can't see it, people can still hear Shi-Yun's earth-shattering scream. That's so heartbreaking. This scream is enough to show who has won and who has lost this battle. Miasma, dissipate. Zhang Zizai can use the talisman to activate the talisman root that is left behind to clear away the remaining miasma. The moment he defeated Na Yun, he was pulled aside by a huge force. When he stood still, he found Sikong Jin and Feng Xiaoyao beside him. They were the ones who brought it back. He looked back at the beast god's battlefield. At that time, Yun's blood stained the stone slabs. He was lying on it screaming, his face pale, but the Shijian was already standing beside him, and it was him who was holding it in his hand. Thigh. Zhang Zizai knew that if Feng Xiaoyao hadn't pulled him back just now, Shijian might have turned his anger on him. Zhang Zizai just kept his word. If Shi-Yun was allowed to win, the fate he would give himself would definitely be even worse. However, Shijian was quickly reattaching the thigh to Shi-Yun's body at this time. He didn't know what medicine he used. The flesh and blood healed and joined together very quickly. In a short period of time, the thigh was completely reattached. Went up. Shijian is really prepared. I heard that you are going to cut off his son's thigh. You have even prepared this 10th grade elixir. This is a very expensive Linghua jade liquid, which is more valuable than the fire phoenix pearl. It's 10 times higher, and it's one-time use, Feng Xiaoyao said. Sikong Jin said calmly, he is naturally afraid that Shi-Yun will leave behind a root of trouble, so he used the best medicine, but even so, such a connection may take a year of recuperation to fully recover. Now Shi-Yun can't even stand up. All of this was done by Zhang Zizai. It was not until people saw Shijian reconnect Shi-Yun's thigh that they reacted a little. Zhu Shen announced calmly, in this battle, Zhang Zizai won and was promoted to the 99th floor in the Beast God Tower. Shi-Yun fell to the 89th floor. This is the final result, which is obvious to all. As for how Zhang Zizai defeated Shi-Yun, who possessed the Fire Phoenix Pearl, many people did not see it. Shi-Yun was defeated despite the precious Fire Phoenix Pearl. To be honest, I can't blame anyone else. Although Zhang Zizai is arrogant, he is really scary. He is already at the 99th level. He was still at the mysterious veins realm just now. This is too exaggerated. In a short time, he may challenge Sikong Xiao. By then, if the goddess loses her position, I won't be surprised. They looked at Zhang Zizai's eyes, and most of them were numb. Numb to his amazing performance. Although they all agreed that Zhang Zizai had a problem with his brain, not only was he arrogant, but he also ruined his future and fell in love with the divine spellcaster, but in terms of talent and strength, he was once again recognized by the audience, especially that he was also a totem talisman master, which was even more precious. The Shi family had actually gone crazy a long time ago, especially Xuanhuan. The moment she saw that scene, she had already rushed towards Zhang Zizai. I'm going to kill you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 289. She is not strong enough, and there are two holy god servants here, so she will definitely not be able to succeed. Sikongjin just controlled her gently and said, Xiaohuan, this is a formal sparring. Besides, Shiyun is fine. Her legs have been reattached. You'd better not get angry yet. After all, there are so many people are watching. Shi Jian had already cured Shiyun by this time, and Shiyun no longer screamed, but his face was very gloomy, his head lowered, and he didn't want to look at anyone. At that time Jian carried him into Shiji's sedan, and sure enough, the two brothers were lying together now. One has to stay for half a year, and the other has to lie down for a year. When Shiyun clamored to cause trouble to Ruo Xiaoyu and the others, he probably never imagined that this day would come to him. Xiaohuan, come back. Shi Jian squinted his eyes. Everyone knew that there was a volcano hidden in his body that could erupt at any time. Shiyun was defeated and lost all face. After all, two sons with extraordinary talents were defeated by the same person, which became Zhang Zizai's stepping stone. Today's onlookers are the entire Beast God Palace, and there are still many holy god servants who have not shown up. After Shi Jian scolded her, Xiaohuan went back, threw herself into the sedan chair and cried bitterly. Shi Jian came to Zhang Zizai and the others. They thought he would be angry, but unexpectedly he suddenly smiled and said, Zhang Zizai has such a high level of luck and has made such progress. It is really unexpected. He has a bright future. Ah! Congratulations, Xiaoao. Feng Xiaoao said, he is so good, it is his own creation, and it has nothing to do with me. If you want to congratulate him, just congratulate him. He didn't bother to say anything he meant. Why bother to face them with a smile when Shi Jian was so angry? Shi Jian's eyes fell on Sikong Xiao, and he said, in this way, Zhang Zizai has challenged to the 99th floor. Next, he wants to challenge the top. If he succeeds, Xiao you've lost your position as the goddess. Sikong, you and Xiaoao have such a good relationship, it doesn't matter even if they exchange levels in the Beast God Tower, right? Sikong Jin said, you don't have to worry about it. Go back and treat your son quickly, don't waste time. It won't be good if the root of the disease is left. The two of them are like fire and water, this is something that the entire Shen zone knows. Shi Jian smiled and shook his head and said, he is useless, and there is nothing I can do about it. I envy you for having a good daughter like Xiao. However, this girl looks nothing like you. She looks a bit like Xiaoao. After all, Xiaoao and Kinkin have been in love for many years. Sikong Jin's eyes suddenly narrowed. It's just that my son lost, so why should he be so despicable and talk nonsense with shamelessness? His eyes suddenly became sharp. Feng Xiaoao said quickly, Shijian, stop talking nonsense. If you lose, you lose. If you say such boring words to provoke, you will only make people look down on you. Shi Jian laughed and said, I'm just talking casually, you two don't need to care. Xiao don't care either. Let's go first. Zhang Zizai also felt depressed after hearing this. How could a dignified holy god servant really say anything in public just to vent his anger? What he meant was that maybe Sikong Xiao was Feng Xiaoao's daughter. Just looking at their looks, Feng Xiaoao and Sikong Xiao are indeed somewhat similar, but Sikong Xiao still looks more like his mother. You can't say for sure what you look like. What Shi Jian said is totally unfounded. Fortunately not many people heard it. Dad, why have we been in love for so many years? Sikong Xiao was confused, and she looked at Feng Xiaoao. Feng Xiaoao said quickly, this old grandson is angry and confused. He just wants to take advantage of him. Don't believe his nonsense. Sikong Jin also nodded and said, just think of it as a dog's fart. Their family is not like this now. Xiao come back with me. She knew that her father was also angry, otherwise he would never say bad words based on his character. She could only nod her head and left the crowd first along with Sikong Jin. At this time, Shijian's family also left, and the show was over. Zhang Zizai wondered, why does Shijian say that? Is it really possible? Feng Xiaoao shook his head and said, how is it possible? Don't talk nonsense. I was away for 4 months before the two of them got married. If Xiao was born 5 months after we got married, everyone would be suspicious. It's absolutely impossible. When was Sikong Xiao born? Zhang Zizai asked. Feng Xiaoao really didn't know. Don't talk about it. It's not good for Xiao Kinkan and Sikong Jin. We had such changes back then, and anyone would have a villain's heart and make these boring assumptions. Just don't bother with it. The family of 3 is living so well now, so don't disturb them, Feng Xiaoao said seriously. Okay, I won't ask about your business. The reason why Shi Jian said this is nothing more than revenge. With a goddess like Xiao Sikong has a lot to rely on, and his 2 sons will be disabled for a year and a half. He hopes that something will happen to Xiao too. Feng Xiaoao said. That makes sense. It seems that the competition for the palace master will be very fierce, and both sides will start to use various methods at this time. Zhang Zizai defeated Shi Jian's 2 sons and helped Sikong Jin invisibly. Now Shijian has gradually lost its advantage in terms of descendants. However, when he thought about it carefully, he realized that this had something to do with him. He hurried back to the 9 Immortals and waited for Shi Yun to move out of the 99th floor before he could go up to the 10th floor. It's only 1 step away from the top. Sikong Xiao, good times are not far away. Night. Sikong Xiao didn't come to Cheng Kinkan's room until Sikong Jin left. She knocked on the door and came in. She saw her mother was still cleaning up the tea leaves she had picked during the day. Mom, I'm not done yet. Sikong Xiao stood aside obediently. It's almost done. Xiao do you have anything to say to your mother? Cheng Kinkan stopped her busy work, sat her down on the bed, and asked softly. Sikong Xiao pursed his lips and said, I've heard some bad rumors recently. There are some things I want to ask you. Cheng Kinkan nodded. Sikong Xiao said, I heard that you and Feng Xiaoao were together when you were young, right? Cheng Kinkan was speechless. She didn't know why this old thing would appear again. She knew that since her daughter had heard it, she must have known it, so she said softly, we were together for a while, but we were not suitable for each other, so we separated. Later, I married your father. Some people say that I am Feng Xiaoao's daughter. Sikong Xiao held her hand and said very nervously. Cheng Kinkan shuddered slightly, and she hurriedly said, Xiao don't believe this. You were born a year after your father and I got married. At that time, Feng Xiaoao had been missing for a year and a half. How could you be related to him? Besides, if we weren't married, mother wouldn't have had any relationship with him. Don't look at me like that, okay? Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 290. Sikong Xiao finally breathed a sigh of relief and said, Mother, I believe in you, but now you are afraid of people's words. It must be Shi Jian's fault. He knew about our relationship back then. He just wanted to destroy you by saying this. You are your father's advantage now. I heard that both of Shi Jian's sons were beaten by Zhang Zizai. It's hurt. Therefore, Shi Jian must be thinking of these crooked ideas to drive a wedge between your father and daughter. You must not be affected, let alone listen to those boring rumors. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Sikong Xiao nodded and said, Mom, I understand. I won't fall into the trap. It's just a pain for you to let the rumors of those shameless people affect your reputation. It doesn't matter, I'm not going out. Chen Qingqin smiled and helped her daughter arrange her hair. Sikong Xiao lowered her head. She looked at her mother and said, I noticed that you seem to be a little depressed in the past few years. Is it because your father doesn't care about you? Mom, to be honest, I think my father seems to have changed a little. He doesn't care about you or me anymore, he only cares about the position of his palace master. Xiao needs to understand his father. His position is relatively difficult. If he fails, he will suffer. If he fails, it will be very difficult for us, Chen Qingqin advised. Is that so? But if the family is happy and respects each other, then that's okay. As long as you have the strength, death is inevitable. So, do you like that boy named Yishan? Chen Qingqin asked. Sikong Xiao lowered her head. After a long time, she nodded slightly and said, it seems that I feel a little moved. No matter what he says, I feel good, but when I think of what Dad said, I feel discouraged. I think if I disobey him, he might be very angry. Then we can only wait for a while. You are still young. At least wait until the palace master's position is settled. At that time, I will help you discuss with him. Sikong Xiao was very happy. She grabbed Chen Qingqin's hand and said, thank you, mother. You are the only one who understands me best and respects me the most. I love you the most. Chen Qingqin hugged her gently. Until now, her daughter is her life and everything to her. I don't like Feng Xiaoao, and I don't like Zhang Zizai. I really hope that my father will have less contact with them in the future. I don't believe that these two shameless people can be of any help to my father's competition. Sikong Xiao said angrily. They. Chen Qingqin paused and said, actually, they are quite good. You just didn't have a good impression at first. Mom, you don't know how shameless he is. You've never seen this kind of person, so you don't know the extent of his shamelessness. Thinking of him, I'm so angry that my teeth are itching. Now people are saying that before long, he's going to beat me and take my place, and I'm ready to beat him down. Her position was challenged. She had worked so hard to get this position as a goddess, how could she give it up to someone else? Okay. There was nothing she could do about this. What they didn't know was that at the same time, Feng Xiaoao came to the Qingtian palace next door and found Ling Qingtian. Let me ask you a question. Feng Xiaoao hung on the tree and looked at Ling Qingtian below. Say it, Ling Qingtian said. When was Sikong Xiao born? He asked. Ling Qingtian thought for a while and said, I don't have a clear impression. Let me think about it. He thought for a long time and said, I went there when they got married, and then, by the way, it seems that after they got married, the two of them applied to go out for fun, and their divine attendant approved it, but I didn't see them for a year or two, and then, yes, I brought Sikong Xiao back later. After you got married, you went out to play for a year or two, and when you came back, you brought back a daughter, Feng Xiaoao asked dully. You don't really think that Sikong Xiao will be your daughter, do you? Stop thinking blindly. You can't understand someone's dirty tricks in Shijian, Ling Qingtian said. But from Feng Xiaoao's point of view, there is actually some possibility, because if they didn't need to hide the problem of the child being born too early, they wouldn't need to stay outside for a year or two before coming back. He knew what kind of person Chen Qingqin was. Okay, I understand. This matter, no matter what, has nothing to do with me. Even if it is really my daughter, this daughter will not recognize her. Such a result will only make the three of them unhappy. Feng Xiaoao said. It's good to know. Anyway, it has nothing to do with you, Ling Qingtian said. That's a whirlpool, and it's best not to step into it, otherwise it won't be good for anyone. Especially the one that would destroy Sikong Xiao. She is the proud daughter of heaven. With my dirty look, I'm not worthy of being a father, haha. Feng Xiaoao laughed. It's late at night. Feng Xiaoao returned to Xiaoao Hall. After Zhang Zizai left, he once again lived a lonely life. None of his disciples he could like. It is Shenzong's task to guide them. There is no hope in this life. He just wants to live such a leisurely life, occasionally leaving Shenzong, wandering around the entire origin continent, and falling in love with the world of mortals, free from worries. How wonderful it is. Be carefree and at ease, this is life. He took a sip of tea and was very moved. It's just that the taste of tea is so bitter, not as strong or as refreshing as the previous wine, and drinking tea can't let go of the things in my heart. I can't drink tea anymore. To live my life, I still have to drink. A few months after he quit drinking, he picked up the flask again and drank heavily all night. I lay on the ground during the day, and when I woke up in a daze, there was a small note in front of me. The only window seat on the third floor of Fenja building. I'll wait for you here. This is what's on the note. Who are you, making excuses with me? Feng Xiaoao didn't bother to answer, and continued to fall into a deep sleep. His white robe rolled on the ground until it was covered with dirt. He didn't wake up until noon. You are playing such a trick on me. I want to see who is waiting for me there. He tidied up a little and went out with the wine bottle. The main reason why he wanted to go was because he wanted to go to Fenja building because he had run out of wine, and Fenja building was the best place to sell wine. He is famous for being a regular customer here. The seat by the window on the third floor was his only seat, reserved specifically for him by the shopkeeper. When he came here, he first asked the shopkeeper to make 3 large tanks of wine and put them all into his space jade pendant. Then he went up to the third floor. When he opened his eyes, he saw that there was no one there at all. I'm sick, he drank too much last night and was still a little dazed. The shopkeeper quickly brought the wine to him, and he began to drink heavily. While drinking, he watched the people coming and going in Bailishan Street. Most of them were young people, making this street full of youthful atmosphere. I remember that when he was young, he was walking around here very happily, holding his beloved in his hand. How wonderful those days were. She was so good looking and beautiful, and he vowed to give her the best life. But he never expected that he would start to be ruined and start to be defeated by many people. All the things he relied on became jokes one after another, and he became the laughing stock. He was too young at that time, and all he could think about was escape, only escape. He can no longer get married to her, because he knows his own situation best, he is already a waste. Young and envious. This life has been confusing since then. 10 years later, he came back here and started over, but their daughters have grown up. In a daze, he saw that there was a note on the table. He squinted and finally saw it clearly. There was a sentence written on it, under the table, there is something that will surprise you. He burst into laughter, wondering which grandson was pretending to be dancing with him. He lowered his body and found some papers under the table. As he picked them up, he asked the shopkeeper, "Has anyone been to my place today?" "No," the shopkeeper said. "What about these days?" "None of them. Others will never dare to approach the position of holy god attendant," the shopkeeper said very seriously. "If someone leaves something for themselves, they will definitely not let others know about it." He then opened the pages and looked at the contents. They were clearly torn from very ancient books. The papers were withered and yellow, and the handwriting on them was very blurry. Poison dragon leaf. Directly above the first piece of paper, these 3 words are written. The following content is an introduction to the poison dragon leaf.